morning, welcome to the Wake Up to Working From Home webinar series, where each week we open up a conversation about our lockdown experiences. This morning we're looking at how we can flatten the curves and control the virile appetite for both food and also the control of food. Today we're talking about eating emotions and emotions in our eating with the expert help of Nicola Shubrook, registered nutritional therapist and clinical hypnotherapist at Urban Wellness UK. So my COVID food diary is obvious. Just look at the unhealthy mix of a pure elastic capsule wardrobe, a routine with less order than a Southeastern train timetable, and a comfort eating habit that would clear out a Vegas buffet. Probably would clear out most of Vegas, actually. So am I the only one who eats their feelings? Apparently not. This period of out of control has led some to exert extreme control on the things they can, food being just one of them. And with an estimated 503 million more meals eaten at home per week during lockdown, which is a rise of 38%, does the fact that we have more control over what we eat make us more healthy? We'd love to hear from you over the next 30 minutes, so please send comments, questions, suggestions in the chat thing below, and we'll get back to you throughout. So Nicola, good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
What were you having for breakfast this morning?
I simply this morning actually just had my coffee and a banana with some Brazil nuts this morning.
Very good.
I wasn't over hungry, so that's my kind of go-to.
Polly, what about you?
I've had a cup of tea so far. I'm saving breakfast for a bit later.
What would breakfast be?
I've no idea. I love the way you think I'm so organised. It depends whether I'm in a sweet or savoury mood after this 30 minutes of excitement.
It is always a sweet or savoury decision for me over a breakfast scenario. Well, look, I'm having my decaf coffee because I've given up caffeine, which is a big achievement. We're going to look at 3 topics today, I think, kind of move through and really kind of take advantage of Nicola's expertise here with the hypnotherapy mixed with the nutritional stuff. So maybe as a start, Nicola, would you mind just giving us your sort of view on what you think is happening in your client base in terms of people's relationship to emotions and food at this time?
Yeah, sure. It's certainly gone up in terms of people being more aware of the fact that they might be eating for comfort or for some other emotion. I mean, I do work with clients with eating disorders, so that has certainly been, so both anorexia and binge eating. So they, particularly in the beginning of lockdown, they were completely triggered by the whole sense of being at home, surrounded by food literally in the house because they weren't allowed to leave the house has been difficult. But then I find also my clients with anxiety and panic and other things like that as well, they too are, it's easing off, but at the beginning of lockdown it was a lot harder, and I was getting a lot of calls from clients who just were struggling with the volume of food because they couldn't go out. Well, also I think if you think as well, there was the whole situation where we were panic buying.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were completely panic buying stuff.
Yeah. We went to a big supermarket at that point, not to panic buy, but just to buy some things. And we were shocked at the only things that were available were really healthy vegan options to everything. And it's like everybody just seemed to go for the crisps and the biscuits and the easy food. And I was devastated because that's what I was after as well. And so we ended up with like gluten-free noodle packets. I was just like, no. Polly, how have you, with the kids, have you noticed that there's been a different attitude towards food in the house?
I can't believe how much food we consume as a house. It does feel like constant feeding and thinking ahead about what to eat, because normally it's either just a packed lunch or school dinners, so I don't have to worry about that. Breakfast is always very fast and they're out, whereas now they can have something, there's much more time for them to make a creative smoothie or whatever they decide to splash around the kitchen that day. I feel like food has almost taken over my life at the moment, and trying to be healthy is difficult when you're feeding kids as well, because everything I produce, the quickest stuff seems to be pasta basically, so it's quite hard to not give them pasta every single meal.
I think it's trying to think of things as well, isn't it? I think there's the boredom factor of, what am I going to have now?
The variety.
Based on what you can get, and B, that is something that isn't just pasta or something a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
I've really noticed that control thing as well. Like, so Rob here comes from a Jewish family where food is really important and it's very structured, you know, Friday night, and, you know, there's various things that we eat at various times. I'm not from that background at all. And so he's kind of taken on this role as a head chef. I mean, I'm executive chef because I have the final decision on the menu, but he's head chef. And, you know, bless him, has been cooking everything and preparing everything and doing a really lovely job of it. But I've had this internal rebellion about, don't tell me what I can eat. I want it. And so I'll have these massive, I've talked about it a lot, but the massive splurges on ice cream or sweets. And I will go for a walk and go to the newsagents and spend like £5 on chocolate and then eat it on the way back because, yeah, and he is listening. So this is a spoiler alert. But it's like, I don't want somebody to control my food. Like, even though I'm really grateful, like, I want to know what I'm eating completely. And it's been really revealing.
I wonder if that's to do with the need for structure at the moment, because it's something we can control, isn't it? So I think with my kids, there's that thing of I have to make sure they've eaten breakfast, lunch and dinner. Well, normally I wouldn't even know if they had or not. Would normally probably skip lunch or just have something tiny for lunch in real life. But now we're having 3 meals a day, and then I suddenly think, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock and they haven't had lunch, but we've got to fit in dinner at some point in the day as well. And they are a little bit like my granddad, in that they have to have their 3 meals a day. They'd be in a complete panic about, oh my God, I haven't had lunch though. We'd have to squish it in somewhere. So
I think that's the really interesting thing, because as I was saying before we kind of jumped on this, I've actually noticed I've got less structure around sort of breakfast and lunch and dinner we always have. Breakfast for me tends to be a bit later because I'm working from home. I haven't got the routine of going via Pret or wherever it might be, where I would normally grab something or, you know, make sure I have breakfast before clinic. And I've become a lot more in tune with, am I actually hungry? Yeah. You know, rather than, oh, it's lunchtime, I have to have lunch. I mean, I'm somebody who generally does eat 3 meals a day anyway, because if my blood sugar levels get too low, I turn into this gremlin and get quite arsey because I'm not very good without food. But I have been eating more when I'm hungry and not just getting up and going, oh, it's the morning, I need breakfast. And if I want more, then I'll have more. And if I don't,
I could say the same. How do you do it, Nicola? How is that a reality for you? Tell us, please. We all want to be like that.
I think well, obviously I work in this space. I've been doing this for over sort of 10, 11 years now. And I'm sure the stuff that I'm grabbing for breakfast probably isn't, you know, cereal laden, sugar heavy foods. You know, one of the really simple basic principles to always apply is every time you eat something, you always go, where's the protein? It's making sure. So certainly in the UK, we've grown up with, I mean, I was the kid who grew up with, I always take the mickey out of my mum on this. So as a kid, I'd wake up in the morning because she knew my blood sugar levels were a nightmare. And I'd wake up to a glass of orange juice out of a carton, and some form of chocolate biscuit, like a penguin or a club, if you remember those, showing my age, or a Viscount. Yeah. Then I'd get up.
So jealous here.
And then I'd get up and have breakfast, which would be a bowl of Frosties or Weetabix with sugar on top, you know. And then, you know, school meals back in the 70s and 80s weren't that brilliant. So I grew up on sugar.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to then automatically think, we need cereal in the morning for breakfast. When actually savoury, when you're talking about, shall I have something sweet or something savoury? I rarely have a sweet breakfast unless I'm making a smoothie or something. I will always go for something with rice or eggs and add the protein in. And it's moving. So obviously I've trained myself over the years to...
Funny though, isn't it? Because we all sort of know it, don't we? Like, I think when you get to this age, you know, you've done all the diet. I've done all the diets, read all the books. You know, I worked on a show years ago called You Are What You Eat with Gillian McKeith. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, mung beans and like all this stuff that we'd never heard of in Britain before, and all had a go. So we all sort of know, but why don't we do it? Like, why am I still eating a massive box of porridge with a whole tub of golden syrup in for breakfast and thinking I'll be slim on that?
It's habit. It's what you've always done. And I think most people go, you know, oh, it only takes 21 days to break a habit. And that's just like a bit like you must do 10,000 steps a day. They're just arbitrary numbers that people have pulled out of the air. It takes on average 66 days to make or break a habit. And normally I expect when you've tried to give up the porridge and the glucose syrup, you've probably also gone, I'm also going to cut out this and I'm going to stop that and I'm going to exercise, and what I call the Monday morning detoxes. Every Sunday night you go, right, tomorrow, that's it, it's Monday. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, back when we could. You know, I'm going to have smoothies every day, and I'm going to, you know, cut out
Nicola,
the sugar.
I call that a positive attitude towards food.
Yes.
What am I not eating?
Yeah, and so we just cut everything out, haven't done any prep on what do we replace it with, and then 3 days into the new regime.
Why am I not thin?
Yeah. And we got too stressed, and then we have a glass of wine, or we go, oh, sod it, I'm hungover and I need more coffee and sugar and things. So it's about making those small changes, but also going, right, I know I want to make changes, but what am I going to replace it with?
You just shattered 2 of my lockdown, my 3 weeks to break a habit and 10,000 steps a day.
There are people logging off all the way around.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but they are just up, you know, all 3 of us sitting here, we are all different heights, shapes, different metabolisms, and yet all 3 of us are supposed to do 10,000 steps. It's illogical. We all need a different number of steps.
I'd be lucky if I could do 10. Me and Robert have booked a crane in, and we're going to get a Channel 5 documentary series, and then we're going to take me out of this flat and get the crane. Barry's leaving. Just lift it out. No, it's not that bad. I think I've gone through like a definite process, like the waves of it all. And I think for me, so we do the poll, and I'll share some of the results in a minute, but for me, there is this comfort and control thing. So I'm in full comfort mode right now, where I don't feel guilty. I do, but I try not to feel guilty about it, but I just want to eat what I want. I just feel like if I want it, I should have it, because there are so many things that I can't have right now. And, you know, what's food, you know, what's another tub of ice cream? And then, of course, I wake up and then think, I'm 40, I've got diabetes in the family. You know, diabetes is now one of the things that are being spoken about with this coronavirus. I don't understand why or how, but, you know, I'm hearing diabetes and I'm like, ooh, okay. You know, at what point do I need to start taking things seriously about what I eat? And my partner would say 3 weeks ago, you know, definitely, probably 3 years ago.
There's quite a lot of fear, though, isn't there? I think there's almost like there's an area that we're not prepared to step into. And I think there's lots of evidence that some people are. So if that fear feels real and tangible, people are changing their lifestyle habits at the moment. And there are, you know, there are lots of people who have just driven to work, done their job, got home, not exercised, who are suddenly exercising because they're realizing they are in those high risk groups. But then I think there's, Barry, you know, you haven't got a massive weight problem or anything like that, and so for you, maybe it's a nice excuse to just sit at home and eat ice cream. We all know you've got a soft spot for ice cream.
Yeah, I've been buying the Ben & Jerry's. I mean, we're not sponsored yet, but we soon will be by Ben & Jerry's. But Ben & Jerry's are doing like 100. It's so clever, because it's clever for 2 reasons. It says it's 110 calories in big letters on the front, right? It's like the usual Ben & Jerry's tub, and it's delicious. Got popcorn in it, so again, healthy. But when you look close, so when I bring it into the house, Robert I'll make sure that he sees the 110 calories. And then it says per 50 mil, like in really small lettering, which basically means it's 700 calories. But I'm like, got the light version. But
that's exactly where the weight loss, healthy eating, etc., goes completely wrong, is calorie counting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, completely. Because if you had 100 calories of, I don't know, almonds, and you had 100 calories of French fries, both 100 calories. But because the almonds are high in protein and good fats, the rate at which your body breaks that down is going to be a lot slower. The French fries will be gone. You'll eat them. You'll be hungry again in 20 minutes. That's why when people go to McDonald's,
the French fries were delicious, and the almonds.
I'm sure they were. Yeah, I'm sure they were. But when you're going for weight loss, you'll then want another portion half an hour later. Whereas if with the almonds, you won't. And it's the one thing I never do with clients, no matter whether, even if they come to me with weight loss, I say to them, you're not going to get any calorie counting from me at all.
But Nick, that kind of what you just said, I do know kind of the background of it, but just to state the obvious, I suppose, or play devil's advocate, what you just said is assuming people are eating when they're hungry. So I might not be hungry at all, but I could have, if I had a bowl of almonds on my desk or French fries, I could just graze all day long. It's nothing to do with hunger, and I have to be very conscious to eat when I'm hungry, because I just love eating, and I would eat all day, and I don't really feel full that much. So there are all those things that go on. And what I've noticed with my clients in lockdown is loads of people are experiencing low mood, I think, and I keep hearing a lot about mental health, people's mental health. I think that's a kind of extreme way of, it's not mental health but issues that people are getting all the time. You know, most of us are just experiencing low mood, which feels like depression, but it's not a clinical, you know, it's not clinical depression, it's low mood. So I think for so many people, chocolate or something sweet really helps us out of that. Are there healthy things we should be eating, or what would you know, when it comes to low mood, what do you recommend?
There are always going to be the key foods to have if you are in low mood. But like you were saying, it is so much more complex than just, I need to eat more oily fish, which is high in omega-3, which is really good for my brain, or more protein, which helps create tryptophan and, you know, is important for our energy levels, which reduces sugar cravings. Because, you know, we've all got these food stories in us. You know, if I'm feeling low, it's very easy for me to go to my comfort foods, which are things like mashed potato. You know, give me the biggest bowl of mashed potato. That is my absolute go-to whenever I'm ill or anything like that. I just want the carbs. And it's, I think particularly where we're in lockdown, which is this whole unique situation, is like we were saying, the rules have changed somewhat. So it, like you, Barry, it's making you go, do you know what? I want to break the rules. It's about the only rule I can break at the moment, because I'm not allowed to go out and I'm not allowed to do these things. So it's the rebellious streak that's then reaching for the chocolate. And that might have been something you've either always done since you were a kid, or has just become, you know, your way of kind of saying, oh, you know, I'm going to be, the devil in me is going to.
Do you know what's funny that I've just realised as well? And sorry to make this all about, this is so when Colleen on Loose Women talks about all of her ex-husbands and then ends up finishing with them. By the way, that's quite a niche joke, but with Robert and I, it's only become, since he's started being so much cooler about me having loads of ice cream, like allowing it, that I've been less interested. When it was taboo, like and it has been like, you need to not eat all of that, and it's like gone. Like, it was much more of a thrill for me. Whereas now, like, he went and got me some the other day from the shop and, like, gave me an ice cream. And I was like, oh, wow, this is acceptable now. And I kind of just not that fussed anymore. There was a gorgeous little bit of strawberry ice cream, thanks to Polly. We had a socially distant meet-up yesterday to talk about this. And she brought me a lovely strawberry ice cream. Thanks for that.
Can I give you and anybody watching a really great ice cream substitute?
Yes.
So I signed up with Nicola about a week ago, and I'm trying to be to address energy levels, because I'm just feeling really sluggish and like I want to sleep the whole time and unmotivated. So I'm trying to be gluten-free for a bit and just concentrate on things like almonds rather than Frosties. But I, like Barry, have a massive ice cream thing that I just love ice cream, and the hot weather makes me a bit obsessed with it. But from one of the recipe books that Nicola recommended to me, I freeze bananas, and then in a blender put bananas and a scoop of almond butter or peanut butter, something nutty, and then I've got some nut granola that I've made, and I stir that in, and it's just like pecan whatever.
The recipe, won't you, Polly?
It doesn't even feel like it's a kind of healthy alternative.
It feels as good as the real thing.
Really does.
But I think that's it. There are loads. I mean, as you say, the internet's gone nuts in terms of people searching for recipes and healthy alternatives. But also, the one thing I always say is, if you want ice cream, have it. Because the more you say, I can't have something, the more you want it.
Yeah. The
little mind word in the brain just keeps going, I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it. And then when you do have it, you tend to blow out on it.
Let me have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice cream for breakfast.
Absolutely. And then you binge on it because you have deprived yourself so much. Whereas if you just had a little bit every day, rather than a whole tub in one big sitting, it wouldn't make so much of a difference.
All right, so how do I do that? Because I cannot not. I don't get these people that have half a tub and put it back in the freezer. What is wrong with you? Like, their portions, that's a portion.
Yeah. It's tuning into the why, isn't it? It's tuning into the why do you feel that just having a portion is not enough? What else is going on? What time of day are you eating it? How are you feeling?
And this makes me go back to, you talked about food stories there, which I love that concept of. And it's like, it's clean plates, isn't it? Like, I was not allowed to get down from, I say table, but put the tray down until I'd cleaned my plate. And it's like, there's a finishing thing and I have to finish it. And even food that I don't particularly like, no offense, Rob, but sometimes when the lentil and aubergine dal happens, I still have to finish it. It's like, this is vile and I'm going to have to finish it. So yeah, there's that story that you learn, isn't there, from a kid? That
completely. Yeah.
How do you unlearn? So you do some hypnotherapy, right? Does that go some way to sort of unlearn?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, certainly with those who feel that their relationship with food has been a bit warped over the years, or they've always turned to ice cream or chocolate when they notice that they do that when they're really stressed. So with hypnotherapy, what's great is we can go back and even start to unpick if that story was something connected with childhood, for example. So I've got examples of clients who it might even be around just one specific food, like fruit or vegetables or something, because some people's taste buds don't develop to they're a bit, we're kids and we get a bit older, but they were force fed broccoli and peaches and things like that, and now they've got an absolute aversion to them. So hypnotherapy allows me to go back in and see where the block is or what the emotional attachment is. One of the really vivid cases I have was a woman who had years and years and years of binge eating, and for her it was always fish and chips. Right. For her, if she had fish and chips, that would be it. And the way she could describe, I remember sitting in the sessions with her, and the way she could describe fish and chips had me salivating. I was like, oh God, they sounded amazing. And when we went back and did the hypnotherapy, the fish and chips were associated, so she didn't grow up in a very happy home, and it was actually her best friend's dad who owned a fish and chip shop. And he was just apparently the loveliest man. She was somebody she always looked up to, thought all men should be like him, etc. So to her, whenever she needed that love or had an argument with a boyfriend or something, she turned to the fish and chips. Right. Because it reminded her of her connection with her best friend's dad. Because she saw him, she had him on this pedestal.
We need to unpick our food stories. I'm just now thinking about ice cream, and it's like the ice cream van would come outside the house, you'd see it through the front window, you'd hear it, and it would be this really exciting, joyful moment. Can we, please? And then, your mum would give us 50p or whatever. This was in the 80s. And then you would go and, get your ice cream. And it was just this moment of surprise and joy. And, you never knew when he was going to come. And he was like, go and queue up. And God, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I quite, I don't mind bringing that emotional state. There are quite a lot of dark emotions in my childhood. It's quite nice to have one that hopefully, maybe if I actually was consciously aware of what that was about and attached it to joy, which is really what it is for me, I could have a more joyful experience.
I think that's it. I think it's when you're reaching for the ice cream tub is going, I need some more joy in my life at the moment. Absolutely fine. Have it. Yes. You don't have to have the whole tub to experience the joy.
Oh, I was really getting down with that.
Yeah. But it's also, I think that's it. I often get to say to my clients, a lot of people are finding their heads are in the fridge a lot more because they're bored, because they're stressed. Most of us working from home are actually sitting at our desks a lot more. So the weight is going on because we're not commuting, we're not moving around so much. We're kind of thinking, I've got another Zoom call in a minute. I'll just have something to eat to break the gap. And so it's about standing there and, if you've got your fridge open and you're thinking, sometimes I stand there going, what do I want? What do I need?
All of it.
And it's, all of it. It's tuning in and going, is there an emotion coming here? Because is it pure hunger? Another thing I always get clients checking on is thirst, because the brain can't tell the difference between hunger and thirst. So if you're dehydrated, the body's still going to send out a signal that says it needs energy. So I always call sugar cravings energy cravings. because it's actually the body's way of saying I need some more energy for my blood glucose, for my blood sugar.
So reframing it again and taking out the sugar. Look, we put a poll up, and I've normally said something about it by now. So I want to, because we've been talking around some of this, and it'd be interesting to see what the people watching are experiencing. So the first question we asked is, do you eat with your emotions? Surprise, surprise. Yes, 100%. Everyone does. So it's nice to know that everyone's in the same kind of feeling space here. Like, we all seem to do it. But then we put, other than hunger, do you use food as? And the number one thing is boredom. So, you know, I put hunger on there as well, interestingly. But yeah, boredom was 82%, followed by comfort, 64%, followed by reward, and what's that, tiredness, 55%. So interestingly, control, very small. Like, I wonder if that one person is Robert, so obsessed. But
I think what's interesting with the boredom thing is it, again, there's probably different layers to boredom as well, because what I find is, certainly with my clients, we're all locked in with ourselves and also partners. When we have to sit and be with ourselves on our own a lot more, which we're having to do because of lockdown, that boredom comes out, and we're not used to being bored as humans anymore. You know, think about back to being kids. And there was actually a podcast a friend sent to me around boredom, and boredom leads to creativity. So as kids, when we were bored, we didn't have toys, and we didn't have like devices and things to amuse ourselves. You just got bored, and then your imagination took over, and you created stories and games out of whatever props you had. And as adults now, boredom actually has become, I'll flick through Instagram, I'll get on Facebook, I'm still a bit bored. We're not comfortable being in our own skin sometimes, being bored.
Right. So
I also think we haven't mentioned, and I think it's really relevant to boredom, is alcohol. And I think I was going to the fridge and thinking, ooh, glass of cold white wine at lunchtime would be nice today. And I did. I mean, I stopped drinking over lockdown because I noticed I was getting into a really unhealthy thing of, for a treat, since it's so boring, I'm going to have a glass of Pimm's today because it's a sunny day, and just like going through this any alcohol option to celebrate the fact that it's a sunny day or bring a bit of joy in my life. So there's a definite alcohol joy connection. But I think if I lived with, if my partner lived here with me, I'm sure we'd be celebrating with alcohol every day. It's only because I live on my own or with the kids that I thought, I probably should stop this now. And I know most of my friends are drinking way more than they've ever drunk before, but they're also all really struggling with their moods because we haven't got our usual support network of friends, and we're not, even if you're working really hard, lots of people working doubly as hard as they have before, there's, where is the joy coming from in your life? Because it's very mundane, isn't it, right now?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think it's coming out of lockdown, the worst thing you can be saying to yourself is, I need to now's the time to lose a stone, get a 6-pack, put all these pressures on yourself to achieve these big health goals by the time we come out of lockdown, when actually emotions are all over the place. You might have a few good days, a couple of bad days. And I think sometimes, do you know what, that's okay. I say that to my clients all the time. Some of my clients have done that. They're like, I'm going to give up alcohol. And I'm like, that's just unrealistic. I don't think you're going to be able to. You're not going to go from a bottle a day to nothing.
And I think so our last question was, do you feel guilty about your food choices over the past few months? And 82% of people say yes. And I think there's that compound element there that leads to further potential comfort eating or potential boredom eating. It's like, and I think we need to wrap up because we're sort of coming up to time, but I think there's something about forgiveness and just allowing and permission with, like you say, try not to eat the whole pot. Try and grab a handful of almonds if you can now and again, like those little steps. But the guilt for me over the years has definitely been the thing that's kind of rubber banded me back into bad habits. And so, just doing a bit more allowing and permission giving.
Well, I always say to people, if you were having this conversation with your best friend and you just said, oh my God, I've just eaten another tub of ice cream, she's not going to be saying to you, oh, Barry, for God's sake, bro, you shouldn't be doing that. You fat so-and-so, But actually, we never say kind words back to ourselves. We never, all you hear is this negative voice the whole time. I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have eaten this. I'm fat. I'm bored. I'm lazy. It just goes on and on and on. And that's where, it's not, it doesn't have to be hypnotherapy. It's, I've recorded positive affirmations for clients just to listen to just change that self-talk. Because a belief is a thought that we keep saying to ourselves. So if you keep telling yourself, I don't deserve this, I'm bored, I'm fat, etc., you're going to stop believing it, and then this negative self-talk just continues. Whereas actually, I think, particularly in lockdown, it's okay to go, do you know what, I'm not perfect, it's okay.
Yeah.
Nice
We've had a message from Natalie who says they've had so much more alcohol than usual. So now she's not drinking in the week, which is what she does when she's at work and life is normal. And I think now that lockdown's lasted so long, people are now starting to think, oh God, we have to take control. Some people have got to the stage, like Natalie, where it was kind of fun for a while.
Party's over, Natalie. Put the Prosecco down. It's too early for a glass of Prosecco.
Yeah, but I think that's it, isn't it? It's trying to sort of say, try and bring some element of routine into your day. So if your normal day was to get up and maybe go to the gym before you went to work, for example, well, get up and do your exercise first thing in the morning and try and keep some of that routine in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the phase we seem to be collectively, certainly the conversations I'm having, we seem to be getting there now. It seems to be coming, we're exerting some more autonomy over our lives, and we're starting to push our boundaries a bit with some of these rules and find our own way and come back to, I think, a sense of routine. We could talk literally forever, and maybe we should. So we're going to be doing some more of these a bit later on in the summer. But for now, thank you very much, Nicola. Thank you very much, Polly, as ever. We're back next Monday at 10 for the last in this little block of Wake Up webinars. We're going to be joined by Nikki Peterson, the commercial director of Psychology's magazine. She was with us on episode 1, and I didn't know how to use the video. So we're going to do a little look back over the last 10 weeks of working from home, from where we were to where we are now. And we'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for any ideas that you'd like us to talk about. There's a little survey link that goes out after the episode, so do fill that out and send us your ideas. And if you're interested in working with either Nicola or Polly, email us at hello@thewakeupmethod.com. Just say something about what you're looking for, and we'll forward it on to either Nicola or Polly to help you out. But for this week, stay well, stay positive, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.